Hello everyone, a warm welcome to my biology class. I am Mrs. Biji Suresh, teacher of Silver Hills Public School, KOZHIKODE. And in today's session, I am going to deal with Class 10 Biology, CBSE, Chapter 15, Our Environment, a very important chapter. So let's see what are the learning objectives of today's class. We shall try to understand more about damage which is happening to the ecosystems. We also have the aim of spreading awareness in the society. You students will learn about it and then you will spread awareness in the society so that we can prevent damage to the environment. And finally, we will also try to compare the three different ecological pyramids. So let's start off. There's the beautiful picture of our Mother Earth. It's a beautiful picture, the blue planet we say, but there are the green plants, there are the animals, there are the tiny bacteria. So all these living on one single earth. And we, human beings or the Homo sapiens, we believe we are the most intelligent creatures on earth, but we are damaging the environment of the earth. Mindlessly we are damaging it. We are not thinking about the fact that we have just one planet. If some problem happens to it, where can we go to? Can we go to the moon? Can we go to the Mars? The answer is no. So what should we do? Take proper care of our Mother Earth. I start off with this proverb. Mother Nature can provide for all our needs, but not our greed. So she has resources which we can use, but it must be used in a judicious manner. That is called sustainable use of resources. So let's see, how is our environment damaged? It is damaged mainly by Homo sapiens, us human beings only. We are causing a lot of pollution. There is exhaust coming from automobiles, industries, etc. There is burning of plastics happening and toxic gases coming. If we breathe it, we will develop cancer and such other deadly diseases. Acid rain, agrochemicals like pesticides running off into water bodies and polluting them, polluting the soil, etc. And use of CFCs, chlorofluorocarbons, which is damaging even the ozone umbrella. So let's see more about all these. We start off with the term ecosystem. You must have studied this term in your lower classes, but once again we'll brush up on that. Ecosystem refers to the interactions between living organisms. Living organisms could be producers, consumers, tiny bacteria which are called decomposers, etc. in an area. They are interacting along with the non-living components like air, water, soil, nutrients, etc. That interaction between biotic and abiotic components in the environment, that is called the ecosystem. And on planet Earth, there are different kinds of ecosystems, like this one is the forest, which is a rich source of biodiversity, where you can find millions of flora and fauna. We even say that the Amazonian rainforest is the lungs of the planet. Just like lungs are essential for us, for our survival, because it helps in breathing. Same way it is the forests which does the breathing for the earth. These forests take up carbon dioxide and instead give out oxygen. Another ecosystem is the desert. Looks like a barren area full of sand and sand dunes. But even here there are different forms of life. You can see xerophytes, plants called xerophytes, and different animals like snakes, lizards, rodents, etc. Yet another area is the mangroves. Mangrove ecosystem will have such plants. You can see the roots are above water. But when the tide comes in, when the high tide comes, then this area will be submerged. So that is the mangrove area. And mangrove plants, in order to get oxygen, they have a rare phenomenon where some of their roots will be growing upward to trap oxygen, to get oxygen. So those breathing roots, respiratory roots, are called pneumatophores. So this is the mangrove ecosystem. Then here there is a grassland, where you can see it is like a pasture land full of grass. Next there is the savanna. Savanna where there is grass along with small trees. So all these are natural ecosystems. But artificial ecosystems can be made by man. For example, agricultural fields. Then again, aquarium. All these are man-made ecosystems. So we have natural and man-made ecosystems on earth. What will happen if there are no decomposers in the ecosystem? You believe they are so small, so tiny. What will happen? What is the problem if there are no bacteria, no decomposers on earth? It could be grave problem, because they are the ones who decay the dead bodies. So in their absence, dead bodies and other wastes will pile up in the environment. Otherwise itself we have no place. Then when we move around, when we try to move around and we hit a dead body, that will not be a pleasant thing at all. So good thing these tiny decomposers are there to break down the dead bodies. Another thing they do is they release the nutrients from the dead bodies. While they are decaying the dead bodies, all the nutrients go back into the soil, which can then be picked up by plants, and through plants it comes into animals, the food chain. So a new term, food chain. It's a chain of eating and in its turn being eaten. Generally it starts with the producers. So here I have shown grass eaten by a herbivore, which is the grasshopper. That is eaten by a frog, which is a carnivore, and two other carnivores. You can see the frog was eaten by a snake and a snake was consumed by an eagle. So here we find there are 5 trophic levels. 5 trophic levels. Grass is the producer level. Grasshopper is the herbivore, or we can say the primary consumer. Frog is the primary carnivore or secondary consumer. Snake is the secondary carnivore or the tertiary consumer, and eagle is the tertiary carnivore or the quaternary consumer. Like that you can imagine and write so many. I have shown here only 5 different trophic levels, but if you want you can imagine and write a chain up to 20 levels. It is possible by your imagination. But in nature, in real life, food chains have very less number of trophic levels, maximum 4 or 5 only. Why is that so? Because the available energy is very less after 3 to 4 trophic levels. Secondly, loss of energy at each step is so great that very little only of usable energy is left for the next trophic level. So generally you don't find very long food chains in nature. They are short ones having 3, 4 or 5 trophic levels only. Here's a picture of a food web. A picture of a food web. It shows that there isn't a definite chain of eating and being eaten. It is an interconnected chain. See, the plant could be eaten by the grasshopper. The plant could also be eaten by the mouse, or it could be eaten by that bird. So in nature there isn't a definite food chain. There are many interconnected food chains, which is called a food web. So whether it's a food chain or a food web, we can talk about 3 different ecological pyramids. Which are they? The 3 ecological pyramids are pyramid of energy, pyramid of number and pyramid of biomass. Please understand that only pyramid of energy is always upright, whereas the pyramid of number and biomass could be either upright or inverted. So let us see, why is the energy pyramid always upright? It is because it follows the 10% law. 10% law. According to this law, only 10% of the energy is passed on from one trophic level to the next in a food chain. According to the 10% law, only 10% of the available energy is passed on from one trophic level to the next when it is being eaten by the next level. So you see here, grass had 100% of energy. It derived the energy from solar energy and it fixed carbon dioxide and water to form sugar. Now when it is eaten by a herbivore, it is getting only 10% of that energy. When that herbivore was eaten by a fox, out of that 10%, it got only 1%. And the next level, which is a bird, it is getting only 0.1% of energy. So you can see that energy is keeping on decreasing. That is why the energy pyramid is always upright. But I told you, the other 2 ecological pyramids of number and biomass can be either upright or inverted. So let us see an inverted pyramid of number. There's only one tree, one big tree, but on that there are 100 worms. So if you take the number, just one tree, but 100 worms. So there it's an inverted pyramid of number. But energy pyramid in this case will be upright. Let's see an inverted pyramid of biomass, which is found in the sea. There are tiny plankton, millions of them are there. They are eaten by small fish. Let's imagine there were 1,000 small fish and that is eaten by larger fish. Let's imagine there were around 50 large fish. So if you take the total weight, the biomass of those millions of plankton is very less. Compared to that, the thousands of small fish have more body weight, biomass, and the 50 large fish have much more biomass. So it's an inverted pyramid of biomass in the sea. Another term is biomagnification, also called food chain concentration. In the food chain, something is concentrating, something is increasing. What is that something? It is non-biodegradable toxic materials. So we can define biomagnification as the accumulation of toxic non-biodegradable materials in successive levels of a food chain. Example, let's take DDT, the pesticide called DDT. So it was there in the environment and went into the water. From the water, it got into the body of plankton. These were eaten by small fish, then large fish, then eaten by birds. So look at that. Water had only 0.003 parts per million of DDT. Plankton had 0.04 parts per million. Small fish had 0.5 parts per million. It is increasing in large fish. They have it in 2 parts per million. And birds have it as still more increased, 5 parts per million. So if you observe the food chain, the level of the toxic non-biodegradable material is keeping on increasing. That is called biological magnification or food chain concentration. And generally the top carnivore is man. So human beings are maximum affected. Moving on to something called ozone umbrella. It is found in the stratosphere. See, close to the earth there is the troposphere where we live. Above that, the next higher level is called the stratosphere, the layer of the atmosphere where planes fly. That is where you find the ozone umbrella, which protects the entire earth from the harmful ultraviolet rays of the sun. What are the problems if these ultraviolet rays come in, penetrate and reach the earth? Grave problem. You can see it causes mainly skin cancer and any other type of cancer in human beings. It affects eyesight. Your vision is affected, cataract and such other problems. It can also destroy seedlings. So it is essential that ultraviolet rays, the dangerous UV rays, must be blocked by the ozone umbrella. And ozone looks like that, O3. It's made by the union of a molecule of oxygen to an atom of oxygen. And we can classify ozone into 2 types, good ozone and bad ozone. Good ozone is the ozone found in the stratosphere. Just now we discussed, it is protecting all living beings on earth from the dangerous UV rays of the sun. When it is there, well and fine. But if it comes to the next lower level, the troposphere, then the same ozone will act as an atmospheric pollutant. So that is called the bad ozone. And if you look at this picture of the globe of the earth, you find there are gaping holes where the ozone umbrella is missing. There are holes in the ozone umbrella, and the danger is that through these holes, when sunlight comes in, the dangerous ultraviolet radiations also come in. Probably that is one of the reasons why cancer is on the rise in the society. So the problem for ozone umbrella is CFCs, chlorofluorocarbons. Why do we use them? They are used as refrigerants and in fire extinguishers. But the problem is, when these refrigerators etc. become spoiled and this gas gets a chance to escape, it will go into the upper layers of the atmosphere, and the chlorine in it can destroy the ozone umbrella. It will once again break that O3 down into a molecule of oxygen and an atom of oxygen, thus allowing dangerous UV rays to reach the earth. Yet another problem is that of global warming or greenhouse effect, where there is a blanket of gases around the earth. A blanket of gases, mainly carbon dioxide, methane, etc. They are allowing the radiations from the sun to penetrate the earth, but not allowing it to go back into outer space. It is radiating and re-radiating here. And just like a blanket is giving you heat, not allowing your heat to escape. Same way here, the temperature of the earth is increasing, and this is causing global warming, or what is called greenhouse effect. So the UNEP, United Nations Environment Program, has been trying all these years to involve many nations to come together and try to solve all these problems. Try to reduce the emission of CFCs, which damage even the ozone umbrella in the stratosphere. Another problem of the earth is garbage. So much of solid wastes are produced on earth. Okay, all this lies as waste. We don't know what to do with this waste. So garbage is a big menace. How can we get rid of garbage? The best thing to do is practice the 3 R's. Reduce, reuse and recycle. Then incineration or burning at a high temperature. That's the second method. And the third method is to compact all the wastes, all the municipal wastes, and then dumping them in special areas which are called the sanitary landfills. These are for waste disposal and they are far away from residential areas. So by those 3 methods you can get rid of garbage. Practice the 3 R's, incineration or burning at high temperature, and putting them off in the sanitary landfill. What are kulhads? They are disposable cups made of clay which were used earlier to serve tea and coffee in the trains of India. You know, the Indian Railways is one of the largest in the world and millions of people commute using it, and they may have to drink tea or coffee. Earlier it was served in plastic cups, but when you are pouring hot tea into the plastic cups, it will react with the plastic and we will be drinking the toxic tea. So to avoid that, later on the vessels were made, these kulhads were made by using clay. Nowadays we are not using this also because a lot of topsoil was taken away. Nowadays we are using disposable cups made of paper. So what are the values that you learned from this chapter? To love and care for your environment. Have the confidence to spread awareness, confidence to be a leader and prevent all such atrocities which are happening to Mother Earth. Be a leader, spread awareness and protect Mother Earth. Forward thinking of avoiding such problems in your neighborhood, like for example the problem of garbage disposal, and developing a scientific attitude of dealing with all such problems. So hope you have assimilated all what I have told you and you will be putting it into practice. You will be spreading awareness also so that we can make our blue planet a brilliant one, a happy place to live in. Thank you so much.